Hello comrades, welcome back to Kerbal Space Program, the quest for the final frontier. I'm Commie Fritz the Great, and you join me for the last time as we begin our transfer burn out from Duna orbit and head towards the culmination of our Duna mission, our epic quest to land on the moon of Duna, Ike, and of course put Newlie Kerman, our man in command of this mission, on the surface of Duna itself in the lander, which we brought across to here on this space tug. And now that I've brought you up to speed with the mission so far, you join me now as we begin our burn to expand our arc into the orbit of the Sun. And from then on we shall attempt to do another burn and slingshot ourselves all the way back to Kerbin and land like nothing ever happened. At least that's the plan. You can see that our initial burn is going well. We're expanding our arc quite smoothly. I have a surprising amount more Delta V than I had initially arriving at Duna, but that's most likely because I've ditched quite a lot of the fuel. It was simply burned it all up, and so there's less weight to kind of shimmy about. I've also, as you can see, ditched the transfer stage from the Ike lander, which is something that we also bought over from Kerbin, and we didn't actually use all of the fuel in that, so I just transferred the excess over into the space tug. Now, upon completing the burn, I did realise, however, that we were perilously low on fuel. But I thought that wasn't really going to be a problem at the moment. It would all hinge on the length of the transfer burn to return to Kerbin once we're in orbit of the Sun. As we are now, we're sort of just departing Duna for the final time. And we bid farewell to this lonely planet. And we'll soon see Ike passing around in orbit in the distance, once we are clear of its own trajectory. There it is. For we shall never return there again, unless we really need to, because it took a hell of a long time to get out here. Okay, as we zip away now into the Sun's orbit, watching Duna fade very quickly and rapidly into the distance. I'm checking the map for you now. We still haven't quite escaped Duna yet. And all systems on the space tug seem to be nominal as we pass now into the Sun's influence. We can stop time warping and zoom out and attempt to plot our intercept with Kerbin. And, well, all in all, I think the mission has gone surprisingly without a single hitch. I mean, I expected there to be fuel crises and technical difficulties, but quite the opposite, really. I couldn't have asked for a more perfect mission. Of course, the mission isn't completely over yet, and we have yet to return back to where we came from. So I'm here now just plotting my burn. I've set Kerbin as a target, and I'm just bringing my apoapsis down to touch its orbit. Target position at closest approach. Now it looks like we've actually burned a bit too late, so I'm just going to swivel it around here. And we've lost our encounter, and so we're going to use the blue tabs to slowly pull our orbit around. Just trying to work out which one to use at the moment. Okay, so having worked that out, we now have a Kerbin encounter. And all we have to do is execute our burn, and you can see just by looking at the green bars on the staging column on the left hand side of the screen, the user interface there, that we are perilously, as I said, perilously low on fuel, and I really don't know whether we're going to have enough to do our retrograde burn to capture ourselves into Kerbin orbit. We certainly have enough fuel to perform this burn, but I don't know about anything else. Now this burn is going to take a while, a fair while actually. It's about 1,000 meters per second that we have to kill off, 1,020 and dropping. We actually have quite a bit of juice in those outer tanks, so that should stand us in good stead, but I don't know how long our leeway is going to last. Nonetheless, I've completed the burn, and I have 7.68 units of liquid fuel in those outer tanks, so I used up a lot, which is the answer to the question. Excuse me. Yeah, I could transfer this fuel from the Ike probe into the orange tank. That should give us a bit of a boost. But other than that, I don't particularly want to transfer any more in case of emergencies. But that's really all I can do on the fuel front. I just have to wait and hope. And that's really all it takes. But now, yeah, I've time warped right into the sphere of influence of Kerbin, and you can see that 18 million and 46 million, so we are effectively within the orbit of Minimus. So we came pretty close. That was a pretty good capture by my standards. I mean, I was miles out when we went back out to Duna. I timed that quite badly, if we're honest, but we got there. Right, so I'm performing my correction burn here, and the amount of fuel in those outer tanks is steadily decreasing. Well, actually the inner tank, because I have that 90 units of fuel from the Ike probe central tank, which helped. But once we're through that, and we're going to be through that really fast, because that central tank is powering all 4 of the nuclear engines on my space tug, which means that it's really not the most efficient design. So I'm going to have to think about a new kind of interplanetary vessel if I want to go anywhere. It requires a lot more Delta V, like Dres, for example, which is the next planet out from Duna. Oh, it's not really a planet, it's more of a kind of dwarf planet like Pluto. So I'm going to have to think about a design for one of those space tugs. I mean, I could just stick with the bog standard interplanetary ship, but with one of those you can never quite judge how much fuel. And speaking of fuel, on that note, my space tug is now completely destitute. But having had time to think up a backup plan during my burn, I have hatched a backup plan. So, what I intend to do is deorbit each of these spacecraft individually. So first the Ike probe, which we're doing now, and then consecutively the Duna lander, and then the space tug will just leave to float out into the middle distance and never be heard of again. Shame really, it did quite a good job. But unfortunately there's no room for sentiment in the Kerbal Space Program. Because we have a job to do, we have a duty. to get Newlie Kerman home safely. Right. Now to undock the Duna lander. Okay, and having got the Duna lander into an orbit, we can now commence with our re-entry. So comrades, I will see you in the atmosphere. Don't you just love it when a plan comes together? That was absolutely sublime. Went better than I expected, actually, if we're going to be brutally honest, and, well, the hero has returned. Newlie Kerman will go down in the hearts and minds of all of the people on this glorious nation, wherever they may be. Ah, but you see, they live underground. Yes, they definitely live underground, and I definitely haven't pointlessly massacred them. Anyway, okay, we're slowly drifting down to the surface of Kerbin after a very, very long mission of 2 years, 189 days, 1 hour, 49 minutes, and 36 seconds. Duna lander has touched down, well, will touch down. Wait, a matter of meters above the ground. And contact, Newlie Kerman is back. If we turn off the landing lights, and oh no, we don't do that. We want to recover the vessel to get back all of the science that we've gained on this mission. Okay, if we cut back to the Space Center, you can see that we've got our mission debrief from the Duna lander, and it's 723 science. So that includes the surface sample, etc. And here's the one for the Ike lander. Obviously less because we had less data to carry, so it's 419 science. Yeah, Kerbals do provide more science, so manning your missions is always a better bet, because they can do EVA reports, crew reports, etc. I think I've mentioned this before, actually, but, well, I think that's a good place to end this episode, and in fact end Season 1 of Kerbal Space Program, The Quest for the Final Frontier. I'm taking a break. I'm going to forget about YouTube for a while. I will return for a one-off video on the 5th of June or thereabouts, for a kind of 1 year on update of my channel. I'm going to expand this channel into a kind of fully fledged gaming thing, so I've got games planned, games like FTL, Minecraft, and obviously continuing on with Kerbal Space Program, which I think has made a flying start, if I say so myself, and I do. But I hope you've enjoyed watching these videos as much as I've enjoyed making them. You've sure been a good audience, if not quite a quiet audience. I would have appreciated a few more comments. But there we are. I can't ask too much as viewer to time. Well, to quote the great Walter Cronkite, that's the way it's going to be. And, well, I hope to see you sometime in the future for another Let's Play video. But for those of you who are new, or those of you who haven't already, please do like, comment, or subscribe. And I will see you around. But in the meantime, this is Commie Fritz the Great, signing off.